Hello, it's Scott Manley here, taking another look at Star Citizen. We have had a lot of updates, especially in the last 24 hours since CitizenCon is ongoing. So I was going to show you, this is of course my Constellation Phoenix, which is the luxury version of the Phoenix, sitting in the luxury version of the hangar, the Revel and York hangar with all its white surfaces and wood accents. And for contrast, this is the lowly Roberts Space Industries Aurora. Now this is the Aurora LX, which is a minor upgrade, but basically this is the starter ship. If you buy the $45 Arena Commander package, this is what you get, right? This is supposed to be the starter ship in the universe. And, you know, it's a fine enough ship. I mean, I have to say, I've always got to stress, the modelling on these ships is fantastic. I really like the detail and the ideas I put into them. None of them are of course practical, but then again, nobody designs practical spaceships in video games that involve shooting. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to show you. What I'm here to show you is this. This is the Mustang. Well, this is specifically the Mustang Omega. So the Mustang is a ship which was supposed to be another starter ship. After a year or so of fundraising, they said, you know what, maybe people don't want to have a rubbish little cargo carrier. Maybe they want a sleek, fast, more combat oriented ship with less cargo space and more engines, let's say. So this was the Mustang. Then recently there was a promotion which is still ongoing. If you buy an AMD graphics card, then if you have a sufficiently good AMD graphics card, let's say, you can get a code. It's the AMD Never Settle code, which gives you 3 games, one of which is Star Citizen, and it gives you exclusive access to Arena Commander. I don't believe it includes access to future modules, so when the first-person shooter module and the PlanetSide module appears, you will not have access to those, but you do get this exclusive ship, which is designed for racing. And one of the criticisms of the Aurora is that it is slow and rubbish in the existing Arena Commander, so the Mustang may be something of an upgrade in that respect. I'm just jumping on board here. And, well, yeah, it does look nice. Why can't I move my camera around? Let's move it around here. Ooh, there I am, sitting inside, and very hard to get the right angle here. I'm not very happy. I'm sitting in what looks like a space motorbike. Yeah. There he goes there. Also, amusingly, I saw an announcement which was deleted from the AMD's Twitter stream about how Star Citizen was going to include Tress FX, which is using physics modeling on GPUs to correctly render hair that bounces with volume and things like that. Which makes me wonder how much GPU it uses to actually render hair realistically, and whether people will be setting their characters to my efficient hairstyle to reduce the amount of load on their system. It certainly gives new meaning to the term. Anyway, that's all well and cool. This is a nice thing if you can get it. You also get it with 2 other games. One of the other games I got was Alien Isolation, which I would like to do on the channel, but I'm not really sure because it contains cutscenes, and cutscenes typically end up getting claimed by some other channel, and it means that all the money gets taken away to someone else who doesn't necessarily deserve it. So I'm not necessarily going to end up playing it. Also, I have a lot of, young kids who seem to be quite enamored with Kerbal Space Program, and I'm not sure I want to expose them to the xenomorph. Anyway, yes, CitizenCon happened, and one of the nice things they announced was that for the next week, everybody playing Arena Commander gets access to all the spacecraft. Now, there are only 5 spacecraft that are flyable at this time. That is the Anvil, the 2 Origin variants, the M50, and the RSI Aurora MR. Of course, the one that I haven't flown is the M50, so I'm going to go and give it a run around the track to see how fast it is. Okay, into the race here. This is the Origin M50, which is basically designed for speed and nothing else. It's one of the 2 racing ships that are currently available in-game. Unfortunately, you can't actually buy it right now because it is a limited model. At some point, the Mustang Omega, which I was showing, will be available, and that will be the racing ship. It will be slightly cheaper than this, which was clocking in at $100 or so. But it's also going to be cheaper than the 350R, which I own, which was even more expensive. Let's see how fast this thing actually goes. And we're off. Ooh, wow. Now, let's see if I can do this. They have vastly improved the controls, and that reminds me, you gotta switch off ComStab. And I'm totally failing here. Let's get in there. Okay, that was a little poor. Just trying to figure out the limits of this thing here. Still using yaw to maximize my speed through the course here, because yaw has higher G-force limits. If you notice, they actually made a commercial for the M50 in the style of Top Gear, which was pretty cool, and actually got featured on the Top Gear website. They certainly could imagine Top Gear in the future, right, with spaceships. This one does not seem as fast as the 350R, unfortunately, but all the same, it is a respectable racer. I'm wondering if it's any easier to actually get through these hoops, because I have a terrible habit of clipping the edges of these things. Oh, there, and down here. Oh, darn. Okay, I'm messing this up. I'm noticing the music in the background. Was that there before? Ah, come on. Okay, I have spent a lot of time tuning up my joystick to make it flyable, but tuning up the joystick generally involves lots of poking around in XML files to adjust, you know, joystick curves and things like that. Come on. There we go, get in. You notice that you now have 6 degrees of freedom on the flight. You notice me doing the bumps there. Oh yeah, again, ComStab off. ComStab, if you don't know, if you haven't heard me mentioning it, is... what it does is, as you turn, it will slow your forward speed to ensure that you remain pointing in the same direction. Or rather, it will slow your turn so that you always remain facing in the direction of travel. And this has kind of annoying problems sometimes because you will let go of the joystick and ComStab will then say, oh, well, you're going in a different direction, and then bump your spacecraft back the way you're going. So you might be facing exactly in the direction you want to go, and then ComStab will suddenly switch it back and you have to keep tweaking it. So I prefer to disable ComStab and fly without it. Okay, this is a little better. I'm using... a lot of people use the yaw on the... apply yaw to the X-axis of their joystick. I prefer to fly it like a regular flight sim and have the yaw attached to the twist or the rudder location. Yeah, that's slightly better. I'm hoping that they will make the game work a little better in that respect, but honestly, we'll see. Elite, I fly like that. I fly Diaspora, or free space like that. So, you know, that might be an argument for Star Citizen doing that. Of course, people might think that having it, you know, just because Elite does something well is exactly a reason why Star Citizen shouldn't do that. I actually had comments to that effect when I made some control suggestions. You know, oh, we should avoid doing what Elite does, which is a little self-defeating. You know, it's okay to be a fan. Being a fanboy and, you know, throwing away good ideas just because your mortal enemy, or your self-identified mortal enemy, is doing them is just self-defeating. Yeah, I'm quite liking the M50, certainly as a racer. It's actually slightly easier to control than the 350R, but I think that's largely down to the fact that it is 20 meters per second slower. And, well, you can see that after a couple of laps, I'm definitely getting the hang of this thing, and I've probably got this down to 112. Okay, let's go back and try this in combat. Okay, let's try the Origin M50 out in combat. I'm going to fly against the Vandal Swarm. This has a pretty light weapons loadout by the looks of things. I'm hoping it has missiles, but it doesn't have secondary weapons, it just has 2 primary guns and bearing lasers. And here they come. The Vandal, who have just made their first appearance in a commercial. We have the new Cutlass commercial was debuted yesterday at CitizenCon. Now the Cutlass is ostensibly a search and rescue ship, which is also makes a perfect pirate ship. It comes from Drake Interplanetary, and they're supposed to essentially be the pirate manufacturers. Okay. Notice I'm using the mouse because the mouse helps me put the reticule a little closer to the target. You know, you can in fact fly this with the joystick, but I've had lousy success, and generally, having discussed this with a lot of people, the mouse still wins out a great deal. Although I have set it up now that I use mouse and HOTAS, or mouse and throttle, which, because I quite like the way the throttle works, although it's probably suboptimal. It's nice to have all the stuff in the right place. Okay, come on. And also have like 20 buttons on my mouse, so that helps a great deal. Come on, get in there. So yeah, they released the Cutlass variants. There is going to be an official blue, I think, police version, and a red medical evac version. For people who want to play Space Police or Space Ambulance Driver, the Cutlass is your ship of choice. They also, of course, released the Origin 890 Jump, which is by the same manufacturer as the Origin M50 and the 350R. But instead of being a super fast racing ship, it is a mega luxury yacht. It is in fact one of the largest ships released so far, and is nothing but 100 meters of sheer luxury ship with actually a little runabout that looks a lot like the M50. Come on, get in there, damn it. You can look at the brochure, but don't even bother buying one, because I think they're already sold out. They only sold a limited number. They might, by the time you see this, there might be one more sale to happen. But yes, $600 is what they were charging for this super exclusive spacecraft. It's not the most expensive spacecraft they sold, it's not the biggest spacecraft they sold. In fact, I think the biggest spacecraft they sold when they sold it was in fact the Reclaimer, which I may be wrong, but I think it's slightly bigger than the Idris was when it was originally launched, and the Idris was sold for $1,000. But the Idris has since, of course, been made bigger. It's turned from the Idris Corvette into the Idris Frigate, and is now certainly the biggest ship you have been able to buy at any point. It will carry 3 Hornets in its belly, let's say. Well, you know, one of the reasons it got bigger was the initial design of the Hornet was based off of a mock-up, and once they actually started building it out, they realized the Hornet was going to be bigger. So by extension, the Idris had to get bigger. Even then, if you look at size comparisons, the ships in Star Citizen are really, really small, despite their hefty price tags and amazing number of polygons and level of detail. They are actually quite small compared to spaceships you'll see, for example, in, say, EVE Online or Elite. Dangerous. Come on, let's get in there. Anyway, the M50 is certainly not comparing well against either my 350R or my Hornet, so I'm not sure why I would have one of these. As cool as it is, it certainly has one of the best commercials they've made for spaceships. Okay, so a word of advice if you're going to try out the Hornet or any of the other ships, just remember the ship refitting interface. You will have access to all of the ships, so in theory you can actually pull weapons off of some ships and put them on the others if you can figure out this interface. Yes, this interface is glorious looking, it looks amazing, it's not very good, but that's okay because this is how, you know, CIG develop things. I mean, they come up with cool ideas and then they put them out there and then people say, yeah, we think you should do something different. And, you know, this is crowdfunding. It's not just crowdfunding, it's crowdsourced development to a certain extent. There's a lot of good things the developers have introduced at the suggestion of players, and they're evolving towards it. Anyway, what you want to have is 2 of the same, or at least you want to try and match your weapon types. Those Gatling guns on the wings of the Hornet are great, they do a lot of damage, but they have a different projectile velocity from the weapons on the turret, so you end up with 2 targeting reticules, which is just horrible to deal with. If you match all your weapon systems, you can also put things on the nose, but I've found that you have power issues that way. So yeah, this is what to do. Quit out of it to save it, and then enter Vandura Swarm. Yeah, if you have just been a backer that has the Aurora and nothing else, you will have a lot more fun flying the Hornet, and even the 300i. The 300i is actually a decent upgrade over the Aurora. The Aurora is weak in every single way, and you know, truthfully, when I do multiplayer games, I prefer the 300 because I can just maneuver my way around the Hornets and put plenty of damage on it. Oh yes, taking serious amounts of damage. This is of course like wave 10, so everything's got exceedingly hard by this point. There's no room for fancy flying, there's just room for dying in the face of lots of Vandul. So yeah, they also showed off some other stuff at CitizenCon. If you're interested in the game, absolutely check out their stream where they have an archive of it. It shows you the ground, the planet side module, that's what I'm talking about. They talk about the roadmap, they talk about some new features, and yeah, it was an interesting event. It was definitely improvement over last year where they didn't have enough network bandwidth to play the stream and it just looked terrible. This year they made errors with sound, and they encoded an interlaced video stream, so things were just not looking good in general. But the stream's worth looking at if you're interested in the game. It shows you just how big Cloud Imperium has become, all the different studios, different locations. And that does, of course, you know, make me realise that they're going to probably burn through their $50 million that they've made in a couple of years. So, you know, their ship sales really are driving their continual development. And I have to say, every time I do play it with people around, they're always like, oh my god, the graphics are awesome! And the graphics are awesome. You know, they still need a bit of work, they need a lot of work on a lot of things, but man, their models are some of the finest I've seen. And I'll be really happy when they expand out the arena size a bit. Now that they've raised the velocities, you find yourself flying towards the edge of the arena all the time. They kept the arena to a certain size because they were working in CryEngine, and CryEngine is still living in ye olden days of single precision floating point, which frankly I think should be outlawed for physics and coordinate systems these days. There's very few things that I think single precision floating point does very well. Then again, I do come from a computational physics background and think that extended precision should be standard on every system. I buy AMD graphics cards because they all have double precision math built in, whereas only the high-end NVIDIA ones have double precision floating point. I should do a whole video explaining what the deal is between single and double precision floating point. But right now I am just trying to fly my crippled Hornet around. Yeah. I'm actually being really dumb, and I tried flying this with the joystick earlier, but I just came back to flying it with the mouse. The only problem is I never really set up my... I never changed my keyboard bindings or anything, so I'm actually... left hand is on my throttle! And that means if I want to select targets, I have to take my hand off the throttle and hit the button for that. If I want to do chaff, I have to take my hands off the throttle and select that button. That probably explains why I'm only getting to wave 11. Doesn't matter, I'm having fun nevertheless, and it's quite intense to watch these things get blown up. You don't want to watch 30 minutes of me getting to wave 15, that gets tedious. It's just wave after wave of spacecraft. I have actually managed to get to like wave 15 in an Aurora. It's a lot of fun trying to do it because you really have to just be a lot more careful than I'm being. Obviously I'm going for maximum drama here by creating something that will let me die a little more quickly. And actually I've lost one of my weapons, so that's not a good sign. Shield's charging, and I'm charging the hostiles. So yeah, I'm already seeing that there are people with a lot of these 890 jumps. Oh, missile, yep. There's a lot of people with these 890 jumps, and some of them have bought them to resell in the grey market, which is dubious. I mean,
Yeah, okay, Cloud Imperium's getting the money, but they're going to be sold at a markup, and I wonder just how much money is going to people in the grey market rather than to Cloud Imperium. I mean, if they're buying them and then reselling them and getting, you know, store credit, maybe it's legit. I don't know. Anyway, oh crap, can't see anything. That's the G-forces. I think my ship is not working particularly well. I don't know if I've lost power or something, but I think I have no guns left. I have no guns left, so it's missiles only. Well, while I can stay in the game, I will shoot these guys down. Missile lock, missile away, missile lock. Oh crap, no. No, ow, ow. This really hurts me. Yeah, I really would like to have shown you the Cutlass, but I simply don't have money to spend on that kind of thing. I have contacted the developers asking, you know, to let me, I don't know, do something to show these, but they don't answer my mails. I'm not important enough for them to be interested in what I do for them. I'm just doing this for fun, and if they, you know, they probably have their own, they have much more, well, they have like their AMD deals and everything going on, so I'm not surprised at all, having been a person that works at a very big company and knows how faceless that whole thing can be. Okay, and I have no missiles left, I have no guns that work, and I'm just going to try finding someone to ram at the last minute. Okay, come on! Nope, nope, he's not working. He's running away. Never mind incoming missile, time to say, I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.